Dear travelers, welcome to my California world. Thank you very much for your interest in my art and California's history in particular. I'm very happy to present you my book California for Newcomers, which explains a lot for those who have questions. This book is a manifestation of my travel experience in 20 years through California parks and cities. It has some Russian accent for sure, for I have immigrated from the Soviet Union and found here the same union, only speaking English. Voila. Read it, leave your feedback please. Next 3 days it's free to download from Amazon.com. Just type Vladimir Derkach or California for Newcomers. Thank you again for your interest.
Уважаемые любители искусства, литературы и путешествий, я вас приветствую. Владимир, Лос-Анджелес, в данном случае галерея Asia Art LA на улице Пико в Лос-Анджелесе, где я презентую сегодня свои книги и, как вы видите позади меня, 3 своих живописи, или точнее картины, посвященные Калифорнии. Книга также посвящена Калифорнии, и я недавно перевел наконец-то ее на английский язык после французского варианта, и сейчас вы увидите, как проходил вечер в галерее Asia Art. До встречи!
Начнем наш сегодняшний вечер прекрасный. Okay, welcome everybody to our International Asia Art Gallery LA. I'm very happy to see your happy faces here. I know art can put people together, bring people together, and also books. It's so much knowledge we can take, and we appreciate and we understand everything through books. And today I'm very honored to present our writer and beautiful artist and handsome, let's say handsome, yeah. And yeah, he's very talented. He's amazing with his art and also with his first book about California. And I haven't read yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be such a good, and we can find out a lot about California, who we are here, and what it can present to us, and for any people from all over the world. And I'm going to give you a word to Vladimir, and please join his event tonight.
Thank you, Aziza, for introducing me here. Hello, dear art lovers, and very welcome to beautiful art gallery, which is called Asia Art Gallery in LA. I think it's the most visited and the most artistic place on the west side of Los Angeles of today. At least I see that in our kind of very tough time, especially in the art world. I don't see many galleries which are open, and this one is a kind of outstanding thing. Is a torch of culture, I would say, or fountain of culture would be the right word. And I have a very special thank you to Aziza personally herself, because she definitely cherishes the art and just helping investing, I would say, in cultural life in Los Angeles. And probably one day we'll have some article on Los Angeles Times, which will be depicting in details what kind of events and stories are going on here. A couple words about it's like a Rumish, we call it, okay. Couple words about myself. My name is Vladimir Derkach, and I'm originally from Moscow, Russia. In 1996, when the Iron Curtain has collapsed, and every active person decided to see the world by their own eyes, and we were not an exception, so we just flew away and landed up in Los Angeles. It was me, my beautiful wife Lana, and 5 years old the guy Andrew, who is growing up now and looks like a movie star. And since that time I started to sell art more and more and more and more, but in 2005 the middle class somehow disappeared, and I was involved mostly in a touristic business. Firstly as a translator, because we have a lot of groups, and Russians are famous for not speaking English whatsoever, so I was really helpful in big buses when guy was like narrating and I was translating, and some lawsuits and those immigration cases and many more. Then I started to write, and then I started to be, and besides the artist and the writer, and the tour guide. As a tour guide, and then I got known California so much that I decided one day to share with you all this information I acquired, accumulated during all those 15 years. And the book was actually published in 2011, which is called California, Who Are You? It's in Russian. So then time passed by, so that was the first edition in Russian. And yellow, I meant that was like a golden state, so it must be kind of golden, but there is no gold paint, so this yellow manipulates it gold. Then it was in French. And French, as you can see, a little bit thicker, because French people are famous for writing like beaucoup. They have 4 sounds, but 8 letters. There was rumors that people in many centuries ago in monasteries, they've been paid for writing every letter. So the more letter you write, the more you pay. And French was so inventive, so they created a new language, which is, French, they're speaking, German people badly speaking Italian are French, in my understanding, because the grammar is totally German, but pronunciation is kind of like très difficile, also kind of Germanic. But the words are mainly from Latin, from Italian, let's say. Then I ended up, because one day I decided, okay, I live in California, everyone speaks English here, even those crossing borders guys, finally, hablamos español, that ended up with speaking English. And I started to work with that. Damn, that was hard. Because I have a very complicated algorithm of thinking, and I have like long sentences like Dostoevsky or Saramago, one of my favorite ones, when you have like 3 pages with no any spaces going through the column with a comma, etc. And I should cut my sentences in 4, sometimes in 5 parts. And also, we don't have, in English there is no such a thing like diminishing, как это сказать, когда уменьшительное, diminutive.
Yes.
For example, if you have dog, it's dog, maybe doggy. But we have собака, собачка, собачище, собачище, собачонка, собачушка, собаченца, and many other things. So it's very hard to translate in English. You cannot do that. There are some words, actually, they don't exist in English. Some words in English that they don't exist in Russian. So that was a torture. But finally I accomplished it. And a special thank you for, this time I don't need the welder's glasses, for localization editing for Anastasia Buxton and Katya Pronichenko. Then thank to those 2 ladies. They did a very great job to make this material understandable for locals. I suspect so. And one deep plunge into my past, and we'll go to reading. I want to read in 3 different languages. I won't read because I have my own narration, could be articulated and accepted wrongly. So in this case, I want to, from the 3rd person, will be reading this. It's really very interesting. How did I start with writing and the painting? Painting is also mine. And I was not that, sophisticated and well taught and educated as an artist before. And I started very late. So my father helped me when I was in 5th grade, and we have like, there was a math problem, like 2 apples plus 3 apples then equal 5 apples. We probably was not 5th grade, or the 3rd one. We didn't write all those 1, 2, 3. I just like have to draw them, and I cannot draw the apple. I could not. So it was over my skills. I cannot do the circle, like whatever I did was either an egg or maybe a cucumber, but not an egg. And my father made it for me. 2 apples plus 3 apples and 5 apples, and then that was tough job. I didn't pay attention to that very much. And at the age of, 77, 14? 14, 7th grade. I bought the exercise book, notebook, for 44 Kolpiks, and the prices were the same up 20 years in a row. So Viva Soviet Union, it was pretty cool, but it's gone. So I started to write, and I had a pseudonym which is called Tom Shoshney. I have no idea why it sounds like very English. Tom, I'm Tom Shoshney. Then I created that I probably would be another pseudonym, probably also Tom, but Svetlov. I didn't know that my wife would be called Sveta. Svetlov, it's like light, Vladimir, Tom light. Very freaking strange. But anyway, I started to write fantasies. Once upon a time, two guys went somewhere, recovering a place, and also there was a sheep. And I started to illustrate, because sometimes at this age I knew probably 15,000 words at most, and it was not enough to me to describe the complexity of my thoughts. So I started to draw, and that was just like pencils. That's already a kind of off perspective we are talking about. Some construction. 14. Then it was a sheep, and I was really interested in that. But you know, there was a resistance of material, and because I was born as a Taurus, and I'm very stubborn in some cases, I just bumped my head against the wall that this resistance of material just irritates me, and I have to overcome one day for that. So I started to draw more and more and more and more. Then it's unusual adventures of Kip. Kip was the name of the guy for some reason. They probably were very interested in astronomy one day. And then let me just find the most beautiful illustration. Oh, that was already a map, and almost I can call it already a painting. That was 8th grade already. And then on my birthday, a friend of mine brought me a set of oil paints and a brush. And that is my first paint in oil. That's, what is it, 78, May 78. Why it's river, I have no idea, but a lot of blue sky, and probably this is why I'm in California, I need these blue skies. Perfect nature. So this is it, all my kind of, then it was kind of like a nose and nose, like a horse and carriage going together. Either I was a journalist or writer, and I used to work in small local newspaper, Liberetskaya Pravda, the truth of Liberty, kind of sounds very Trumpy. And then the second was on Taganka, it was a magazine in Moscow, pretty prolific already in perestroika period. And then fresh wind of change, just like swipe us into Pacific Ocean. Here we go.
So beautiful.
So this is why I want to be read in different languages, just to hear the difference of how it sounds, the inner energy of the language. Because languages, it's a code, it's a historical code of nations, and it's very interesting to go through it. And then one day you understand that Russian word berloga comes from English word berlog, where the bear at the end of winter goes under the log and starts to sleep. This is why we call it berloga. I didn't know that. It just recently came to my mind, and I said, Lana will be the first who is reading in Russian. Very, very poetic thing, you know, it's like I just probably one of my favorite in this book, chapter. It's a winter in Sequoia.
But just relax, enjoy. It's beautiful language. It's just 3 minutes.
Don't worry.
Okay. The name of this chapter is «Волшебный зимний сон». Снежная пыль растворяла силуэт рыжего исполина и пыталась соединить его с окружающим лесом. Мягкий свет волшебной жемчужной пороши, висящей в воздухе, и морозное поскрипывание ветвей оживляли зимнюю сказку леса, рассказываемую 2000-летним великаном. Столетия проходили для него как дни. Лес сменялся, как жильцы в доме, а он все стоял на прежнем месте, ценил его, любил и не собирался никуда переезжать. Только изредка пробегал возле него лесной огонь, погрев его кору своими языками, раскрыв пару-тройку сотен его маленьких, как грецкий орех, шишек. В последнем текущем его дне исполин наблюдает у своего подножья просто какую-то муравьиную, непрекращающуюся возню. В начале 20-го столетия сюда стали приходить люди, потом приезжать на лошадях. А совсем недавно его нежную душу потревожили самодвижущиеся экипажи. Поначалу шумные, пахучие, чуть позже практически неуловимые для его 2000-летнего уха. Кора его такая нежная, мягкая и странно звонкая при похлопывании спасала его от холодов и пожаров, от птиц и животных. 1000 лет она была на страже, но даже сегодня выглядит так же привлекательно, элегантно и здорово, как и в 100 и 1000 лет назад. Подумать только, дышать одним воздухом со всеми этими хрестоматийными империями, царями, пророками. Многие гранитные станции неподалеку, бывшие когда-то вполне приличными скалами, превратились в кучи крупнозернистого песка, поблескивающего на солнце золотом для дураков, в кавычках. Пробегающие по ним веселые бурундуки уже проложили там тропинки. И только рыжий исполин стоит, не качаясь, как стойкий оловянный солдатик из сказки. Он настолько свыкся со своей ролью часового, что уже и не мыслит другой. Звездная пыль опадала тюлевым занавесом на сугробы, надолго скрывая силуэты деревьев от взгляда. Волшебный зимний сон. Мало кому из путешественников удается увидеть гигантскую секвойю в заснеженном окружении. Еще реже удается погулять вокруг нее зимой. Среди таких огромных деревьев и сугробы подстать. Скорее в них утонешь, чем прогуляешься. Богаты горы Сьерра-Невада своими чудесами. Секвойя – одно из них. Летом дорога в этот парк легка и доступна. Зимой же можно увидеть только одно единственное дерево – генерал Грант. Но самое большое дерево в мире, генерал Шерман, зимой недоступно. Его сон охраняет нечищенные дороги, заваленные многометровыми сугробами снега.
Now Elizabeth will read in French, and thank you very much for that. And we just take a look how beautiful
I will
it sounds.
try.
Yeah, in French it's very particular one.
L'aridité entière de la Californie est désertique. En faisant une déclaration aussi audacieuse, je voudrais dissiper immédiatement tous les doutes quant à une classification plus poussée et définir le désordre comme un phénomène en général. Ainsi, un désert est une telle zone géographique où plus l'humidité s'évapore qu'elle ne tombe. Pour traduire la principale caractéristique, il serait logique de nommer une telle zone géographique l'aridité. Il est difficile pour un habitant de marais biélorusse d'imaginer la vie sans nom, puisqu'il n'y avait pas d'endroit aussi aride dans la région historique habitée par les Slaves. Le mot désert, c'est-à-dire un endroit vide de monde, est apparu bien avant la connaissance du Slave avec le sable et les cactus. Avec l'avènement de l'ère des découvertes géographiques, le désert apparaît également dans la langue russe. L'homme est un être social, l'homme est fort en communication. Les espaces vides lui font peur. Afin de renforcer leur esprit, les gens depuis des temps immémoriaux sont allés dans la solitude, les déserts. Dans un sens philosophique, le désert est une oasis fleurie de méditation. Le âme des gens est plus proche de la sagesse. L'individualité si facilement acquise dans le désert, s'effondre très vite dans une ville scintillante de lumière. Fragmentée par un grand nombre d'habitants et inondée la vague roulante d'un tsunami d'informations, elle devient un simple ampoule dans la cuisine à la fenêtre d'un immeuble. Dans le désert, toutes les lumières sont des étoiles remplies de majesté divine et apparaissant chaque nuit dans le ciel pour une sage conversation. Certes, le désert ne sauve pas tout le monde et pas de prime abord, mais une fois qu'il a pris un voyageur dans ses filets, il ne lâche plus. C'est vivre ici. Et après une semaine passée en tournée dans le désert de Californie, ça sonne déjà comme je le comprends.
Qui es-tu? Chers lecteurs, je vous souhaite de profiter pleinement de nouveaux horizons ouverts. Vladimir, Derkach, Los Angeles, 2023.
And now with my
mais moi je manque, ok.
Le parle en français aussi, mais il en mieux. James now is almost a professional reader. No, okay, he is an amateur, but let's listen how does it.
So I want to say that I've read the book, and as someone who's lived in California for most of my life, it was like going down memory lane. It brought out such a feeling of nostalgia for me, and I really enjoyed it. And what I enjoyed most about it was that I felt it was coming to in your authentic voice. I felt like you were reading this to me, but I'm going to try and read it in my own voice. But I really highly recommend it for people who are. It says California for newcomers, but I think it's California for anybody who's ever lived here and anybody who hasn't. So, Moon City. That one was large, I could read it without it. It was getting dark. The moon rose lazily and solemnly over the bay. As the twilight got darker and thicker, the moon was getting smaller and brighter. Her melon face turned into a bright lantern and flooded the earth with a silvery, mystical light. The reflected light of the sun, soothed by the coolness of the night, brought memories to life. Do you remember? This is the question so frequently posed among old friends and acquaintances, which sounds opportunely in San Francisco. Do you remember we saw the same pedestal in Paris? Do you remember the same tower sands at the Simferopol railway station? Do you remember we kissed near the Kremlin wall, where there is the same grill? And the fashion fence of the Alexander Garden in Moscow pops up in their memories. If it seems to you that I incline you to the conclusion that San Francisco is a city replica, then you are mistaken. San Francisco is the self-sufficient city that lives its own life, has its own face and its own style. But the most important thing is that San Francisco will appear to anyone who first gets into it as an old acquaintance whom you know well and have not seen for a very long time. With further recollection of it, a person always has warm emotions associated with the city, no matter how cold the wind or slanting the rain is. This phenomenon is easy to explain if you walk around the streets and carefully read the annals of the city in the form of buildings, street layouts, parks, steep hills, and of course, restaurant menus. The reason for this first must be sought in gold. In San Francisco, gold was real and there was a lot of it. In the first year of the gold rush in 1849, with the help of only cups, bowls, pans, and about 90 tons of precious metal were mined. The farther, the more. The mined gold required development. On the hills, in no way suitable for development, wooden residential buildings grew like mushrooms after the rain, and after them, stylish granite multi-story buildings and banks, theaters, and hotels. San Francisco is one of those mysteries that defy logical explanation. How can you even imagine that most beautiful cities in the United States appear on this place that is not very suitable for settlement? Not a single wooden trunk would be found on the hills with their shocking slopes. And there was almost a complete lack of fresh water. Cold water all year round hits from 3 sides. The strongest current in the strait prevents ships from entering the bay, and the swampy shore of it makes it impossible to land. Dense and chilly fogs in the summer, which allowed Mark Twain to amuse his readers with the remark that the coldest winter he ever spent was in August in San Francisco. Constant earthquakes and prolonged downpours in the winter round out the picture. Only one of the above circumstances reduces the standards of living almost by half. However, the mystical nature of San Francisco is itself a mystery. A capricious city with a male name has a female soul, prone to changing weather like moods or dresses. Therefore, in the trunk of any car, there must be 2 or 3 blouses or jackets for any type of weather. It is a city where you never sweat and never freeze. Should I go on? Arigato.
Good job! Yes, dear art lovers, and thank you, Jesse. Pretty cool. And if you have any questions, just I'll be more than happy to answer, because it's like a very unusual thing to have a writer and an artist at the same bundle at the same time. Yes.
How advanced is the French? Would a high schooler learning French be able to read it if they read it slow, or?
I mean,
is it-
mine or
No, the French in the book.
it's pretty sophisticated, I would say, because I asked many people to work on it, and finally the not only interpreter but also the lover of French language of 75 years old in France, in the city of Annecy, she was so kind to translate me, I mean to localize, to adjust it into the French, like French from in France. So it's pretty well done, it's extremely well, so I'm very happy. In English, it's still something is missing, but I think it's because the algorithm of this islandish language is nothing to do with the continental language, so it's different families, and it's very difficult. It's like lead and iron, very difficult to melt together. It still will be some tensions. Yeah, in that. Yeah. Otherwise, I'd be with Sir Byron. Yeah, this guy did very well. That language is outdated. Nobody can talk this anymore. And also, we have California for newcomers, and those 2 previous books are California Hawaii,
Yeah.
or the California K2.
I like that.
Because in English grammar, American grammar, the California is inanimate, so it doesn't have a soul. So I cannot ask for a human like who are you, and the question what is it doesn't really apply to California. California for me is the Jaconda, you know. I have to just ask her a question and smile to her back, and dedicate some time to her, and she will smile back to you.
I do think, though, you can say, who are you, to an inanimate object, because I think it is a contemplative thing. So I think if you did change it to match the
That would
books,
be wrong, yeah.
it wouldn't be wrong.
Yeah,
You
it
really
is.
are finding
Yeah, ask
something
many
out
people
there.
too. They said, yeah, in this case it could be. Yeah, it's a literature. Yeah, good.
I want to say that in French it's very touching. I mean, for me, it's the very first time that I read in French, and I said, oh my God.
I tried actually to intrigue potential reader and maybe my future tourists, not to tell them all those cubic meters and the tones and names and years, just to mention something like very shocking to them,
Yeah.
memorizing that and then asking the question later on. And also I tried to, some parts, not all of them, some parts are very, very technical, some parts very poetic, kind of very mysteriously poetic, just like taking you and just waking up, you know, like being as a cloud, you open it, the shell is very tough and the inside is very gentle and very tender. So this was playing, yeah. This
You did a good job.
Grazie mille, should I say.
Yes.
So drinking time, what?
Yeah, if somebody wants to sign the book.
Yeah, if you want to sign the book from me, yeah, I can go there by the table and then we just like the book and give you
Are you
the
ready?
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
to Aziza. She is amazing. What she's doing.
Спасибо, дорогие друзья, что уделили парочку минут, а точнее пару десяток минут нашей презентации. И до новых встреч.